Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We have Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com with us, and we're going to try to identify some profitable advice from the baseball card for Tuesday, July 28th. Joe Duffy, in general, baseball's been profitable for you this year?
It has been. We finally ended a very rare slump, especially this year. Two underdogs of $1.79 or more yesterday, part of a 3-1 performance. So we are back on track, baby.
Very nice. Joe Duffy's website again, OffshoreInsiders.com. All right, Joe, from Tuesday, July 28th, first thing I'm thinking about, Ubaldo Jimenez, right? Two straight horrific starts, but maybe a little bit forgivable. They were at Detroit, at the Yankees. Now he's going to be back home against Atlanta, and we know that Atlanta has not much on offense right now. Maybe we get a big bounce back from Jimenez, and on the other side, Julio Teheran. We know that he struggles on the road. We know that Baltimore can't hit at times. On paper, looks kind of like a wash, but maybe in retrospect, Baltimore will have a big starting pitching edge here. What do you think?
I don't know if I agree with that. Teheran had been streaky this year, but he seems to be back on track. 2.81 ERA his last four. As you said, Jimenez over his last seven has not a totally horrific, but a pretty bad 4.89 ERA. I don't think I'm ready to give Baltimore the pitching edge here, even though, of course, Jimenez is pitching at home, but I think Atlanta really does have the edge here. Teheran, a guy who got off to a rough start this year, but a pretty solid pitcher and is now back on track.
Really? Because I'm just thinking that Jimenez, obviously he had two straight bad starts, but, I don't think that there's something fundamentally wrong with him. And if ever there's a team that he's going to be able to correct that against, it's this version of Atlanta. I'm thinking he has a great start here.
The Braves, obviously, it's not one of their classic years. They're rebuilding for when they move to East Cobb County and in a couple years. But still, as far as a pitching advantage, I do think it's the Braves. But as far as offense is concerned, the Braves' offense is pretty weak.
All right, well, I'm looking for a big start from Jimenez. And then another game that caught my eye, Milwaukee at San Francisco, Willie Peralta and Matt Cain. Neither one of those guys is necessarily lights out every time, but I'm thinking in this spot, both of them are going to pitch well. Cain seems like he's going to be, decent for at least 6 innings, especially when he's in a pitcher-friendly park, which he will be when he's at home. Peralta coming back off the disabled list. We know what he was doing, last year, one of the better pitchers in baseball. And his minor league results in his rehab starts were pretty good. I'm thinking we get good starts from Peralta and Cain. I think we get an under. What do you think, Joe?
Well, that's definitely sticking your neck out on the line because both guys recently off of the DL. I think they'll be on a pitch count. So the over-under and really the game will probably come down to the bullpens. But Cain has really been building up. His last start was pretty impressive, and that's what you want to see from a guy who comes off of the DL, especially Matt Cain, who's got a few miles under his belt. So Cain seems to be doing exactly what you would expect for a guy his age. He's slowly coming back to normal, and he's pitching pretty well, but I do think that both teams will go to the bullpen. So if you want to handicap either the side or the total, and you believe that pitching is 80% of the game, I would handicap the bullpens much harder in this game than I would in most.
All right, I think we're going to get a 7.5 line on that one, and I think the under is going to have some value, but we'll see. And then another one where everyone's going to be thinking under at first glance, right? Washington at Miami, Jordan Zimmerman and Jose Fernandez. And Jose Fernandez, I think we just should assume awesomeness from him every start out until further notice. Miami has not much on offense, though, and Zimmerman, can easily be lights out, especially when he's facing a subpar lineup. The total on this one, probably going to be 6, maybe 6.5, but maybe the under will still be a good bet. What do you think?
This would be a big home-road pitcher splits game. Jordan Zimmerman, pretty good. He's very good at home. Not so great on the road, 5.14. Jose Fernandez is unconscious, 14-0 in his decisions in 22 career starts at Marlins Park, 1.17 ERA. So this is being played in Miami. I've got to give the edge to Miami, but I would agree. All in all, probably a pitcher's duel, although with the case of Zimmerman's road numbers, maybe not. I think a big edge here for Miami, but that's going to be accounted for.
And then another game that's got me thinking a little bit, Detroit at Tampa Bay, right? David Price really strong right now, basically lights out every start. And on the road at Tampa Bay can be a relatively soft assignment. And Odorizzi has, obviously the guy in general is very good, but right now seems like he's been just a little bit off since his return from the DL. His command has been a little bit off. His walks are a little bit up. Good, but not really dominant as opposed opposed to Price, who is in top form right now. And, you know, Detroit probably has a slight edge or a modest edge in the lineup as well. And you're probably not going to get a big favorite line at all here. I'm guessing Detroit around -120, but I'm thinking that maybe they'll have a bigger than assumed pitching advantage here.
Yeah, in the case of Odorizzi, as you said, he was much better before going on the DL. In 11 games before going in the DL, he pitched 6 or more innings in all 11 outings, and he has not done that since returning in his 4th. So Odorizzi doesn't seem to be able to go quite as deep, probably getting his arm strength back. I would think that Detroit has a pretty solid pitching advantage here. Whether or not the line will be quite as small as you said, maybe a teeny bit higher, but I do think that Detroit has the pitching advantage.
All right, well, as of right now, those are my top leans. I'm expecting a strong start from Jimenez. I think I'm going to be leaning under in Milwaukee, San Francisco, and probably leaning towards taking Detroit at a very small road favorite line. That's it for me for Tuesday, July 28th. Joe Duffy, what jumps out at you from this card?
Well, Noah Syndergaard, a guy we talk a lot on these broadcasts. He's typical young pitcher. He's actually continues to pitch better. 1.59 ERA over his last 5 starts, but he has been significantly better at home than on the road. So 1.74 home ERA, which is extremely impressive. Compare that to 4.34 on the road. And for Seattle Iwakama, he definitely struggled early in the year, but he's 2-0 with a 1.74 ERA over his last 3 outings. Remember, he was on the disabled list early in the year, struggled coming off of the DL, but he now seems to be finally in tune, and I would say he is a big uptrender.
Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Thanks so much.